Welcome back to Deep Six Wrestling. I'm your host, Just Pat, and this is another episode of 5 Matches to Watch, the weekly show where I take a look at 5 matches that happened this past week from across the world of pro wrestling and give you my personal recommendations on these matches. The only rule for this show is 1 match per show, so not an entire New Japan card, not an entire WWE card. You get the point, though, just to clear up any confusion, the G1 Climax is going on right now, and I'm counting each of those nights as a separate show, which is why last week's episode had a bunch of G1 matches, and which is why today's show will have multiple G1 matches. So, with that all being said, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below, subscribe to Deep Six Wrestling for all of your wrestling content. Go follow us over on Twitter, at Deep Six Wrestling, that'll be right below me in the video, and also down in the description below, and leave a like on the video. Also, feel free to comment your favorite matches from this past week, because I'd like to see them. I'd like to hear about them, and I'd like to talk about them. So definitely comment what you've been watching, what you've been enjoying down in the comment section below. I'll take a look at it. I'll read it. I'll get back to you. And without further ado, let's get into this week's video, this week's 5 matches to watch. Right, so right before we get into the matches this week, I just want to give a shout out to the glorious Robbie Rotten, who's currently doing his Glorious or Rotten WrestleMania Rewind, where he's reviewing every single WrestleMania. He's binge watching every WrestleMania 1 through 35 and reviewing them. So be sure to go check it out on our channel. It's great, and it's introspective. I haven't seen every WrestleMania, so it's definitely, it's an interesting viewing. But he ordered a pro wrestling crate, and he got a New Japan shirt, which was a Jay White Switchblade shirt. He doesn't watch New Japan, so he gave it to me. Very grateful, because it's a very nice shirt, not gonna lie. And he unknowingly, Switchblade is one of my favorite wrestlers. So, thanks, Rob. I really appreciate this. But with that all being said, the first match on this week's episode is from Night 6 of the G1 Climax. It is Jon Moxley versus Tomohiro Ishii. And this, I absolutely would say, up until this match happened, this would be Moxley's best performance since leaving WWE, hands down. I think this is better than his match with Joey Janela from Fyter Fest. And I'd probably still say it's better than his match with Shingo Takagi that he just had on Night 8 of the G1 Climax, so I'm sticking with this. This is great stuff. I genuinely believe that Tomohiro Ishii is the MVP of this year's G1 Climax so far, and probably by the end of it, we'll still be saying the same things. He has literally every match he's done, even the undercard tag matches, have been just outstanding. He's on fire right now. That's really all you can say about him. But this match was great. The chemistry with these two guys, Moxley and Ishii, it really clicked here. I think, it felt like Moxley was definitely more inspired here, and he had a fire in him that we haven't seen since he left the company. And, it's nice to see, because, Moxley's a great wrestler, and it's good to see that he seems to be refining his love of pro wrestling, which is what you kind of need if you're going to be a pro wrestler. So it's really nice to see him refining that as we go in this tournament. And to Ishii's end, this man just, again, I mentioned it in my post-show recap of the past couple of nights for the G1 Climax, but he just, he's so versatile, and I never really thought of him that way. I always liked him, but I never really, loved him up until this tournament started, and he's just delivering so many, versatile is the word to go with for this tournament. These matches feel like a set of variety. It just, he's so good, and, I don't think I've ever seen him go off the top rope, and he went off the top rope in this match, and not only did he go off the top rope, he went off the top rope through a table on the outside down on the floor. So, good for you, Ishii. You're killing it, man. And as I said in my post-show recap that you can check out on this channel, I definitely wouldn't mind seeing him finally get the IWGP Heavyweight Championship that has eluded him for his whole career. So, maybe do that for Wrestle Kingdom. Don't know if it's going to happen, or you can do it sometime next year, maybe Dominion, but time will tell. Ishii's killing it in the G1, and Moxley finally seems to have found his groove, so this is definitely a match to go check out. Easily one of the best of the tournament, which I feel like you just keep saying about matches this year, but seriously, this is something to go watch. So coming in at number 4 this week, we have Damian Priest versus Keithley from last night's NXT episode, and this was just a really good hoss fight. Damian Priest is the new guy in NXT. He just debuted probably a month or two ago, I want to say, and I've been really impressed with him since he debuted. I thought he was cool as Punishment Martinez in ROH, but when he came in, that was kind of when I stopped watching ROH, so I didn't really get to see much of him. But I did see him wrestle once live and thought he was really, really promising, and now he's in NXT, and he seems to have a whole new, persona. It's kind of the same, but, not really. and he has a much better name. Damian Priest is much better than Punishment Martinez. His theme song is so good, like, oof, so good, and the entrance that accompanies it is perfectly executed. Like, the cinematography on it is great, and the way he acts, his motions, his gestures, all on point. The lighting, great. Again, his entrance is just so good. Like, when you think of NXT, you think of like entrances like Finn Balor or Aleister Black, and now Damian Priest fits right in there. So go to an NXT, man. Their production team's killing it. But this match was really good. It was a hoss fight, and so if you're not into that, you probably won't be into this. But these guys are both very agile for big men, so you also might like it because they're not doing your typical big men things. They're not like being Braun Strowman or like the Big Show or Bobby Lashley. It's really good. Just go, again, it's a nice short match. It's not too long. It's probably like under 15 minutes. That's the main event of the show, so you can just skip right to it if you want. But yeah, these guys are just great. Big fan of both guys. I really don't know what Keithley is going to do in NXT. I was like kind of debating this when I was like watching this. Is like, he's been in NXT for almost a year now, if not a year, and he hasn't done anything. Like, I know that's in part due to injuries, but at the same time, you just kind of feel bad for the guy that he has never gotten off like the ground. He never like really did anything. It's kind of a shame because Keithley's great, but I hope he does something. And if he doesn't, then I guess just call him up to the main roster. I know how stupid that sounds. That like, oh, if you're not doing anything, just call him up. But look at somebody like Elias. It really worked out for him. I'm not saying Elias is as good as Keithley or Keithley's as good as him. I'm just saying, look, they were kind of in the same situation. Elias was in NXT. He wasn't like a big indie signing, but he was in NXT, not really doing anything. I don't even think he had a takeover match. He was supposed to have one against Apollo Crews, and it ended up getting pushed off the show the day of, and they just recorded it for NXT TV. I don't even know if it ever aired, but that was supposed to happen, and then Elias just kind of moved up, and he's honestly, to be fair, I'd probably say Elias is the best NXT call-up to date, just in terms of like where he was in NXT to where he is now. So maybe just call Keithley up. Again, he's a big man, so he's got that going for him. He's super charismatic, and he connects with the audience. So yeah, I don't know. If you're not going to do anything with him in NXT, I'd probably say just call him up. It's probably your best bet instead of just having him sit there doing nothing like Cassius Ohno was before they sent him over to NXT UK. So yeah, I'm going to go with Keithley up to main roster. Damian Priest is on to bigger and better things in NXT. Number 3 pick this week is Will Ospreay versus Kota Ibushi from Night 5 of the G1 Climax. And the first thing to say about this match is that both Kota Ibushi and Will Ospreay are injured. They're both dealing with different injuries. Kota has a foot injury, don't know how severe it is, and Will Ospreay has a neck injury, also don't know how severe that is. It was fair enough that he was originally pulled from the night before this. He just didn't wrestle in the undercard, and then they added him for this show, and he looked good. Watching this, you can clearly tell that both guys are injured just because they're not working the frantic style that they normally do. Just look at their match from Wrestle Kingdom, and you might be like, oh no, they just restructured it. But no, you can tell that they're both working hard. And that's one of the downsides with the G1 is the whole injury aspect. I mean, if Ospreay had gotten like to the point of injury where he literally couldn't wrestle, I'm really interested to see what they would have done, if they would have put in an alternate, or if they just would have put him, like, his matches as buys, and everybody who was scheduled to face him just gets an extra point. Don't know. I don't know if it's ever happened in the G1 before. Again, I'm relatively new to New Japan within like the last 2-3 years, so kind of in the dark about that one. But this match was, for what it's worth, it was really goddamn good. These guys, again, for being two injured people, they did not come off as two very injured people. Like, you could tell they were injured, but they didn't work like they were injured, if that makes any sense. Like, they were working a different style. They weren't working fast, they were working slow, but more hard-hitting, and it really showed here. Instead of just like speeding around, flipping off everything, they were kind of just like it looked like they were trying to just beat each other with like moves. And I liked it. It was really good. It wasn't my match of the tournament, but I genuinely think the match overall rocked. It's going to vary, I feel like, depending on what you're used to with both guys, and if you enjoy slower, more hard-hitting affairs, or if you really like Will Ospreay and Kota Ibushi just being fast, frantic, breakneck speeds, flipping off everything and trying to kill themselves. Which, again, as bad as that sounds, I do enjoy that as long as it's done safely, and Kota Ibushi does not do it safely very often, but that's a topic for another time. But this match is really good. It's definitely up there for I wouldn't say match of the tournament, but it was very good. Ospreay hit this cool spinning power bomb that I don't remember really ever seeing him hit, and I thought it was really cool. Kota Ibushi, they mentioned at some point, I think it was in this match, that he has like a lifetime contract with New Japan. I don't know how true that is, or if they just meant like in terms of like he signed a new deal and it's gonna like probably take him to the end of his career. But that was kind of strange. I don't remember if it was this one or the match after for him. But I just kind of found that a little weird if that's actually a thing. I don't really know of any companies signing lifetime contracts for people, so be interested to know what that's about. Anyway, this match was really good. I thought Will Ospreay was going to have a better tournament than he's having in terms of wins, but I guess when you look at it, you know, he is a junior heavyweight in like New Japan's eyes, so kind of makes sense. But Kota Ibushi is doing pretty good, and these guys are both delivering in all of their matches so far. Besides Ibushi and Kenta, that one was kind of off. But if you're not watching the New Japan G1 Climax, I highly suggest you do. Go check it out on New Japan World and just give in to the greatness that is the G1 Climax 29. So our runner-up this week is going to be Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada from Night 7 of the G1 Climax 29. And this, without a doubt, is one of the best matches of the tournament. Personally, for me, it would still be Jay White versus Hiroki Goto. Shout out to the Switchblade, but this match, just like, again, when you want to, just taking a second to mention the previous match I just mentioned with Will Ospreay being injured, and again, while I said that wasn't like a match of the tournament, it was one of the better matches of the tournament so far, he's still injured, and he comes out here and gives a performance of his lifetime against Okada, and I really think it says something to their chemistry and their capabilities as workers, both him and Okada, to be able to deliver this type of match to this level of this quality at this length on this stage, with Ospreay being injured with a neck injury. These guys just went out and gave it their all. This was so goddamn good. This is easily one of the best matches of the year. I can't believe that this happened. This was just so good. Like, it's not like the best Okada match I've ever seen, and it's probably not the best Will Ospreay match I've seen, but this was, it's so engaging just watching this. Like, even if you know the results of this match, it still feels so unpredictable watching it. It's just so good. Like, the closing, like, 5 minutes of this match is absolutely goddamn insane. You know, Will Ospreay is having 2019, like, 2019 is his year. This is the year of Ospreay. Obviously, he's got the whole drama with Seth Rollins that hopefully is in the past now, but besides that, his just in terms of his wrestling and the matches he's putting on, absolutely undeniable. I would say Will Ospreay is the best wrestler of 2019. The only person who I would say is rivaling him, or two people, the two people I'd say are rivaling Will Ospreay are Tomohiro Ishii and Drew Gulak. I would definitely say Gulak is up there in terms of just the like his rise on 205 Live to the championship, and then his match quality. Overall, I would say those three are probably the three best wrestlers in 2019. But for this match, Okada just, I'm sure somebody out there is going to say Okada carried this match, but I wouldn't say that. I would say Ospreay really carried his weight while still being injured, clearly. And I'm sure this match would be played like very differently if Ospreay wasn't somewhat injured. Like, you can tell how bad it is, just like when he comes out there. His whole back is just taped up. His, like, I would say his back, his neck, his arms are completely taped up. And I know Kevin Kelly said after him and Ibushi ended that he was just happy to see that match done. That was one he was genuinely scared about, and you could tell he was telling the truth because he's sitting there and he doesn't want to watch one of these guys like break their neck in the ring. But Okada and Ospreay worked a much safer match, much less like one that you would be gritting your teeth over. And to be fair, I didn't really think Ospreay and Ibushi was that, like, it wasn't like Naito Ibushi levels from Dominion. This one was actually watchable. There's only a couple spots where I was like, please don't do that. But definitely, if you're going to watch one match from the G1 Climax that has happened so far, I would definitely either tell you to go watch Okada versus Ospreay or Jay White versus Ishii. Both of those matches are just absolutely insane. So good. I can't stress that enough. I think I accidentally said Jay White versus Hiroki Goto before just now, so I'm correcting myself. Jay White versus Tomohiro Ishii is my match of the tournament. Just oh my god, this this G1 Climax might be my favorite so far. I mean, we're not done. We're still, like, I think today's show, or yesterday's show, was 45% of the way done, but goddamn, this tournament's delivering in spades. So definitely go check out Osprey versus Okada. You won't be disappointed. And our number one spot this week is Drew Gulak versus Isaiah Swerve Scott from 205 Live. This, I'm just gonna say it right off the get-go. This is probably my WWE match of the year. It's definitely between like this and Kofi versus Bryan at Mania. This was just, oh my god. This kind of came out of nowhere. I think they announced it right, like, I don't know if it was like right before SmackDown or when they actually announced it, that they were doing Raul Mendoza and Humberto Carrillo versus the Lucha House Party, and then Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Drew Gulak. It was kind of like a NXT 205 cross promotion thing. I just want to say this just brilliant stuff here. Like, this came out of nowhere. I was not going into this week. I was not expecting to see this, and then it happened, and it was just like, wow, okay. Isaiah had just kind of lost in the first round of the NXT Breakout Tournament to Cameron Grimes, and I thought their match was really good. And I'm a big fan of Isaiah Swerve Scott. You know, I remember seeing him for the first time as Kill Shot. I saw that before Shane Strickland, and I just thought he was cool. He was very slick in the ring, but I will say I do prefer him without the mask now. I think he has a very marketable look, and I do think following this match that you can make a very good argument that him and Gulak have the great potential to be like huge stars for the WWE. But yeah, just from the get-go, as soon as his music hits, you can just, like, and he comes out, the music sounds so smooth. I said this when I mentioned him for the NXT Breakout Tournament in a video a couple weeks ago, but his music is so smooth, it's so groovy, and you can tell he feels it, and it's so good. Titantron looks nice on the big stage. I still think Drew Gulak needs new music, but that's just me. But just, oh my god, Isaiah Swerve Scott, like, his presentation, he just feels like a star, and this match felt like we watched a star be made. Like, 205, I just want to say thank god, I think it was Miami, but you guys gave 205 Live a good crowd. Fantastic. This show deserves the best crowds, like, Jesus. But he got the crowd behind him. This was his first match on 205 Live. This was his second match on WWE television, and he got the crowd so behind him. Like, I've never seen that before for, like, something in this age. So major props here. The crowd was chanting Swerve. They got a "This is awesome" chant. This was just, from top to bottom, this was just excellent. Both guys worked their asses off. They had history put into the match because apparently Gulak was one of Scott's trainers, and so they were working that kind of thing where on commentary where they're saying Scott just wants to pin him. He wants to prove himself to Gulak. This was great. I feel like I'm just like running in place right now, just saying this is great, but it's true. This match from top to bottom is one of the best matches I've seen this year in WWE and probably anywhere, to be honest. There's just so much to talk about. There's not a gory bomb, like a crucifix. Like, it looks like he's setting up for a crucifix power bomb, but Gulak ends up just tossing Scott over his head into the LED pole. That looked, oh my god, that looked awful. I would not want to take that. Scott hit his weird, they called it a moonsault. I thought it was body splash, but cartwheel rope assisted moonsault onto Gulak. That always looks cool. There's just, they called it a hesitation drop kick, but I'm used to calling that for Kenta Hideo Itami. In his hesitation drop kick to the corner, he hit I'm just gonna call it like a jumping reverse thrust kick to the side of Gulak's head that just this match is great. Seriously, go to the WWE Network right after you finish this video and go watch 205 Live. You can watch it fully through because the opening tag match with Lucha House Party and Raul Mendoza and Humberto Carrillo is really solid. Only looking at the squash match, and then you have this, and this is just worth it. Like, this is worth, just watch this. Just seriously, go watch this match. It's incredible. I seriously, that might be an understatement. This is genuinely fantastic. Like, last week people were saying Jack Gallagher versus Chad Gable was the WWE match of the year. I am just gonna no, this is it. This is 100% it. This is better than that. The crowd's better. The guys look better together. Just the match itself is more entertaining. It's just mind-blowing. That's all I can really say. I really, really pray that they call up Isaiah Swerve Scott and just put him on 205 Live. Same for Raul Mendoza. Those guys would be perfect fits here. I also really wouldn't mind seeing Cameron Grimes and Jordan Miles from the NXT Breakout Tournament coming over to 205 Live. Just get some new, fresh faces in here. 205 has the smallest roster between all the brands. And while obviously 205 only has an hour, I really think that they could benefit from some new, fresh faces on there, so we're not just seeing the same people week in, week out. But yeah, this was something special, and I really feel like enough people haven't seen it, so this is my big recommendation. If you're going to watch one match this week from this list, go watch Drew Gulak versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. Right, so that just about does it for us this week here at 5 Matches to Watch. Thank you for joining me on this week's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did. If you didn't, feel free to dislike it. Be sure to comment down below what your favorite match this past week was, or if you agree with any of mine. Tell me what matches you're looking forward to in the G1 Climax. Just give me your general thoughts. I just want to, hear what you guys think about wrestling right now. Besides that, go follow us on Twitter at Deep6Wrestling. Be right below me in the video again, and also down in the description below. We're also on Facebook. You can just search Deep 6 Wrestling if you want. You can find us over there. We do post occasionally, but we're more active on Twitter. And besides that, yeah, just subscribe here to Deep 6 Wrestling for all your wrestling-related content. We post very consistently. I'm covering the whole G1 Climax. As mentioned before, Rob's covering every WrestleMania from WrestleMania 1 to 35. So, you have that going for you. If you like WrestleMania, you can get somebody else's thoughts in a long-form series that's really good. We also have Ryan the Indie Nerd doing In Defensive videos, which are kind of like video essays where he's defending controversial wrestling topics. He just got that started, so that's good. We also just posted the Extreme Rules punishment for our predictions, and Hot Take Jake lost and had to dress up as Mudkip in over 100-degree weather for a whole day. That was also something. I put the video together, and it came out pretty good, not gonna lie. So definitely go check that out. All these will be down in the description below. You can also just go to our channel. Everything's curated through playlists. Be sure to check it all out. But until next week for 5 Matches to Watch, I've been just Pat. Peace.
It was hot. It was hot. Roman, you just can't take the heat. I'm just too hot. They call me Mr. Fahrenheit.